Do you remember those bizarre Slim Jim commercials from the late 90s? Yeah, those. What's up with that? Today's topic? Those crazy Slim Jim ads from back in the day that are honestly still incredibly bizarre, even when compared to all the quirky advertising that we've become accustomed to these days. Slim Jims. You know what I'm talking about. They're like that weird meat byproduct snack that kind of tastes like if you took some leftover hot dog meat and left it in a car for a couple days. Kind of just let it like dry out and, I don't know, maybe like throw some like spicy ramen seasoning on it afterwards or something. In case you can't tell, I've never been a huge fan of the product itself, but damn it, I love those weird ads. The premier meat snack of America, Slim Jims, are self-described as a smoked snack stick made with beef, pork, and chicken.
That's nasty.
If you're a 90s kid, then you might remember one peculiar mascot, the Slim Jim guy. The character starred in a series of ads where an anthropomorphic Slim Jim gets eaten by various people and proceeds to cause havoc in their innards. This ad campaign hit TVs across America in 1998.
Antacid, aisle 2.
An article written by Adweek from 1998 states, "We tried to leverage all the personality traits of Macho Man." That, of course, refers to Macho Man Randy Savage, the former mascot and spokesperson of Slim Jim, and focus on the product front and center without losing that attitude and irreverence, said Jeff Slater, marketing director of Goodmark in Raleigh, North Carolina. "It's such a pure representation of the world of Slim Jim. You get to buddy up to him and find out what he's all about." From the advertising, it seems he's all about giving you heartburn, indigestion, and stomach cramps.
How about a beefy spicy grip?
I hope I don't have to explain why this is a little bit weird and counterintuitive for advertising, but honestly, that's kind of what makes this character and these ads so unique. It's anti-advertising. They break every traditional rule of advertising by making the product seem pretty unappealing, to be quite honest. So, what are they trying to sell if not their smoked snack sticks? Could it be, perhaps, a lifestyle? A way of life? The world of Slim Jim? Which, by the way, is Jeff here trying to imply that there's some sort of deep lore behind the world of Slim Jim? Are we merely getting 30-second glimpses into an entire cinematic universe? What's Slim Jim Guy's origin story? Does he enjoy being eaten? And here's my idea, is he some sort of parasitic alien that requires a host to live? How does he turn into a humanoid after being eaten? There's so many questions and so little answers. Anyway, the Adweek article continues. The spots were directed by Tim Rolt, best known for the short films he has done for the British Broadcasting Corporation in London. Rolt was selected for his frenetic technique at a time when other marketers have begun to ape the aggressive, in-your-face style associated with Slim Jim advertising. Now that I would like to see. There may have been some posers, but there's only one Slim Jim guy. And speaking of that director, Tim Rolt, I actually managed to secure an interview with him.
A clip from a short that I think was the reason why I got the Slim Jim ads. I did a short film called The Vacuum, which was shown on television here in the UK, where I had so little money that I came up with this idea of recording all of the dialogue first on the sound only, and then doing a frame count of that dialogue, and then shooting stop frame the pictures, so that I made a short film with, I think, 3 rolls of film or something like that.
Right.
But it had this kind of pixelated, jerky quality, so it's on the edge between live action and animation, and it caught people's attention at film festivals, and they went on telly. And I think the Steves, saw either the whole of the vacuum or a bit of the vacuum, and so that was the basis, because I used that technique throughout in fact, with the Slim Jim commercials, I refined it, because I initially did these things where I was literally pressing the shutter with, manually all the way through, so it was incredibly painful, but literally for your thumb painful. But then what I did with the Slim Jims, we shot 6 frames a second.
Tim Rolt ended up providing a wealth of information about the creative process behind this campaign, which was developed by the advertising agency North Castle Partners. Several commercials were shot in London between 1997 and 2001. In fact, Mr. Rolt was such a down-to-earth, nice guy that he ended up providing me behind-the-scenes production stills from the set of these Slim Jim commercials that you can't find anywhere else.
I remember the first thing we did was a lot of castings without North Castle being present. And I remember Dimitri, who's the guy who played the Slim Jim guy, he came into a London casting, and I thought that he was fantastic, and I think I sent him as a recommendation to North Castle.
Dimitri Garitzis, the man, the myth, the Slim Jim guy himself. We'll get back to him later. In the meantime, as I had my conversation with Tim, I began to realize what a unique project these Slim Jim ads really were.
I was just going to say, it's really nice for me, because that's why I have such fond memories of the Slim Jim, because I subsequently went on to do more work in the US, and I didn't know how lucky I'd been with the Slim Jims, because they wanted me to put my imprint on it and to use all of my the whole way through. So we edited them, did the sound, everything was so I delivered the whole film in London, and then they took it away, and that was it.
I'm not surprised that it was kind of almost like an auteur experience, where because it doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would be created by a board of executives, kind of.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, that was what was so great about it, really.
Tim Rolt and his close-knit team of collaborators were given a lot of creative freedom to execute the script, which was written by North Castle copywriter Steve Mark with the help of creative director Steve Garbett. Collectively, the two were known as the Steves. Steve Mark was Bad Steve, and Steve Garbett was Good Steve. Interestingly, the Slim Jim ads that you've been watching throughout this video were sourced from Steve Garbett's Vimeo channel, and you can also watch these videos on YouTube, where the videos are hosted by a channel called Good Steve Adman. I think we all know who that is. We have Good Steve to thank for archiving these ads for us all to see. A very good Steve indeed. I honestly can't stress how great of a sport Tim was about this whole thing, and he was so helpful, going above and beyond to help out with this project. I think at a certain point we were kind of able to bond over our shared love of these Slim Jim themed short films and our mutual disgust of the actual product itself.
I suppose I have quite a disdain for advertising myself.
Yeah.
And I'm also, mostly vegetarian, so I certainly wouldn't consider eating a sausage.
Yeah.
But I at the same time, I was happy to go along with this. Well, I suppose it's kind of. I think they were very clever at targeting particularly young males of a certain age.
The ads affected me in the sense that I really, even when I was younger, I really loved the kind of, madcap creativity of it, and the fact that it was so unlike, anything I, saw when just watching, commercials on TV. But it didn't necessarily sell the product all too well, because I never bought a Slim Jim. Because of it, but
that means I've really done what I set out to do, which is to make something that people love, and not sold any products. But
As me and Tim wrapped up our conversation, I knew exactly where this investigation was leading me, straight to the Slim Jim guy himself.
I'd also love to talk with Dimitri as well. Actually, do you think that he would be?
I'm sure he'd be up for it. I don't know. I haven't kept in touch with him, but I have nothing but good to say about him. He was incredibly dedicated. He had to wear that thing around his head with a great weight of stuff on his head.
Right.
It wasn't a comfortable thing, and I'd love to hear what he had to say. But yes, do give him my best regards if you get to speak to him. I think he's based in London, but I don't know.
Now, before we continue, I'd like to take a little detour for a second, if you don't mind. Now, let's do a little thought experiment. What's the first thing that comes into your head when you think Slim Jims? I'll give you a second. Okay, video games, right? Yeah, did you know that the Slim Jim guy was a playable character in a video game?
Devnul's Freestyle BMX 2.
Slim Jim. Right. Oh man, this is... What the hell, like...
An IGN article from 2000 stated the following: "With Dave at the height of his career, this is a great time to further our involvement with him," says Shannon Wright, brand manager for Slim Jim. "And with teenagers' love of video games and Slim Jim's natural fit with extreme sports, this promotion is sure to be a success." And if you don't call this a success, then I don't know what you call it. You know, there's something truly enigmatic about the Slim Jim guy. The character was only seen in an ad campaign that lasted a few years in the late 90s and early 2000s, and yet this character has been seared into the collective unconscious of America for decades now. And that brings us to the moment of truth. The Slim Jim guy himself, Dmitry Guritsas. Now, I really wanted to land an interview with Dmitry. I felt that this documentary, this little project, would not be complete if we were not able to speak to the Slim Jim guy. I actually decided to go out on a limb and actually contact his management. Now, long story short, after about a week or two of back and forth with his UK-based agent, I was able to land an interview with Dmitry.
I'm Dmitry Guritsas, and I played Slim Jim.
Needless to say, this interview is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to finally uncover all of the secrets of this strange, elusive character. So, of course, the first thing I asked was, how did he even get this role in the first place?
So I remember being in the audition, and they're saying, "All right, this Slim Jim, character he's kind of like a devil, and he's sort of, is an animal," and so I just barked and acted just crazy, and I sort of rolled around the room. There was a plant. I remember eating leaves on a plant that was in the room, and I just went nuts, and then left thinking I'll never hear about it ever again. And I got the call a couple weeks later, and they're like, "All right, you're Slim Jim."
Somehow I'm not surprised. Dmitry is very dedicated to his craft.
All right, when I got the part, I thought, okay, cool. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to treat it like I'm doing a dramatic role in like some great play in a big theater. Like I'm really going to invest into building this character. So, I actually went through a whole thing. Like I looked at the ingredients of Slim Jim, and I think the first ingredient is beef, like spiced beef or something like that. And then the second ingredient is mechanically separated chicken. I remember that phrase. And I thought, it just sounded so violent, so that gave me a sense of this person who's just kind of barely holding together. And the only other reference, this may sound a little strange, but there is a movie in the 90s called Virtuosity. It's a Denzel Washington film. It's like this sort of science fiction thriller. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Russell Crowe is the villain, and he plays this virtual reality program, this person who has all the serial criminals or killers of the world kind of fed into this one character, and then the character breaks out into real life. Anyway, I remember that was what went into my mind. I thought, okay, and that's how it all came together. I thought, okay, great. I'm not going to be like serial killers, but I'm going to put all these crazy things together, and they're all just sort of going to erupt, and I'm barely holding it together. And then the final bit that came together was, I thought, well, then I'm going to, as it's Slim Jim, I'm just going to be all the the crazy character parts are going to be Jim's. Like some people said, you're doing a little bit of Jim Carrey, and I wasn't trying to do Jim Carrey, but there was a little bit of Jim in there. But there was a little bit of Jim Belushi, and there was a little bit of Jim Neighbors, my cousins that I have named Jim, friends named Jim. I'd kind of throw in little. It was like a Frankenstein of Jims.
Remember our chat with Tim Roltz from earlier? Now, he mentioned something about shooting these commercials at 6 frames per second. Now, if you're not super familiar with the technical aspects of filmmaking, that might not mean much to you. The video you're watching is shot at 24 frames per second, which is a pretty standard frame rate. There's also 30 frames, 60 frames, but 6 frames is highly unusual, to be honest with you. I've never heard of anything shot at 6 frames per second.
Yeah, I thought, okay, I'm going to go in and perform this. And they said, well, not quite. We need you to slow everything down. And then, as you explained, we need you to slow everything down, and then we're going to speed it up so it looks like you're moving at normal speed. But it'll be jittery and slightly, just sort of something surreal is going on. So we recorded our dialogue first, and then on set, the dialogue would be played back in slow motion. And so we would be lip syncing, be like, hello, I'm Slim Jim, kind of thing. And then we would move in slow motion, obviously. And it took a little bit of time to get my head around it, but actually, as we got going, it was a really enjoyable technical challenge, because then kind of once you had the technical parameters set, then it was about, okay, well, how do I play within this? And so I would sort of think, okay, because I had time, I could sort of put details in that maybe I couldn't really think about if they were happening at speed. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, totally.
At one point, I was getting so into trying to make him as fluid and move as normal as possible when it was sped up that Tim took me aside and said, hey, you're starting to look too normal when we speed it up. You got to go back. And I took that as a really, as a real compliment, because all right, good. I really mastered slow motion acting and lip sync. So anyway, but but I mean, it was part of this sort of strange surrealness of it all.
All right. Now that we have a good understanding of what went on behind the scenes, now it's time to ask the really tough questions. The ones that I'm sure everyone who's watching this right now really wants to know. Like, does the Slim Jim guy actually like Slim Jims?
Well, this is very, I am embarrassed to say this. I have never eaten a Slim Jim. At the time we filmed them, I was quite devoted to being a vegetarian. And I remember it was like, I think we were shooting we shot the first 2 back to back, and so we were shooting the first couple of them, and I remember they came over and they handed me this big box of Slim Jims, the people from the Good Mark, I think, and they're like, here you go, we just want this just a little gift, thanks so much for doing this. And I just said, guys, I'm so sorry, I don't eat meat. And I remember the shock on their faces.
I gotta admit, I find it really funny and ironic that not a single person involved in the making of this video actually enjoys eating Slim Jims, but sometimes it'd be like that. Now it's time for another callback to that Dave Mirra BMX game. I had to know, was Dimitri even aware that his likeness was used in this video game?
In fact, you know what? Yes, I was. In fact, I can't remember, I think it was North Castle partner, the ad agency. Yeah, that's right, it was. The ad agency sent me a Sony PlayStation, this game. And I remember going, oh, wow, what is this? They're like, and it was just a note, like, all right, take it out and play it. You're going to love it. And I remember putting it in, and I realized, oh my gosh, you can select Slim Jim as one of the characters. That was another moment where I realized, okay, I think this has entered the nation's consciousness more than I realized. There he is.
Yeah, the spitting image, right?
Yeah. It is funny when I see that big hat of meat hair, I am reminded that I remember always having a sore neck by the end of the shoot.
And imagine riding a bicycle while doing that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they had me wearing that hat. I mean, yeah, riding a bicycle would be tough. I mean, they had me wearing that hat like on wires, being lowered around, lifted up, going underwater. I mean, just all kinds of crazy things where I was, I couldn't just sit upright where, it would be the easiest on my neck.
Right. So by this point, I already felt more than satisfied with what I got out of this interview, but Dmitry was not done. Oh no, he had plenty more to share, including a glimpse into an alternate universe in which the Slim Jim guy crashed an M&M show.
By the time we got to, I can't remember, I think we did about 5 or 6 commercials in total. When we got to the last couple, they started to talk about, why don't we make an entire, really expand this campaign and do more commercials and do appearances. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, it never came to be, never got past the sort of discussion stage. I mean, they weren't really clear. I mean, one of the things that sounded really cool was they wanted Slim Jim to, say like in a music concert, to just suddenly, without warning, burst out on stage, dance around like mad, and throw Slim Jims in the audience, and then just disappear. I don't know if they'd approached any musicians, but obviously the one they mentioned was like, yeah, like Eminem with, what's that, the song, with the real Slim Shady, please stand up, yeah. Obvious. And like Spring Break in Fort Lauderdale, some of the festivals down there that so there was all this discussion, and it was kind of, daunting's not the right word. It was more just like a slight overwhelming feeling of like, oh my God, this could become like what I do, like for the next however many years.
Right.
Because so much time would be involved in doing this. That's kind of what I would do. I would do these appearances and fly around, and but unfortunately it never happened.
Now, did you notice that Dmitry said 5 or 6 commercials? Because to my knowledge, there were only 5.
Yeah, it's about it. It's weird because I found the Slim Jim ads online, but there's one that's not online. There is a 6th one. When we shot, I think it was called 7th Heaven, we also did this other quick 15-second spot where someone's holding a Slim Jim and sort of contemplating if they want to eat it, and I'm sort of there in his hands screaming, come on, eat me. And then there's like this shot of like I'm going inside someone's mouth, and this huge set of teeth come down and kind of slam shut on me, and I kind of like, that's it. I've been eaten. I've been killed or whatever. And that was really funny. I mean, it was short and funny, but I don't know why it's not online.
Now, will this lost media ever surface online, or is it just lost forever? No one will ever see it again. Honestly, only time will tell. Now, the last thing I wanted to ask Dmitry was how this role impacted his career.
Well, this probably sounds really obvious, but the first and perhaps still the big thing it did was on a practical level, which is that commercials more than any other job, perhaps for actors, to be frank, pay more for the amount of work you put in. Like you could do a week's work, but actually if it gets shown a lot and you get a lot of usage, that can translate into a lot of money. And at the time, I was getting jobs here and there, but I had a day job. I was a telemarketer. I rented a room in a family's house. I was really trying to make ends meet to stay in the game of acting. And suddenly this commercial came up, and we shot the commercials, and then they're going to do one next year. They want to do one next year. And there were might have been not radio ads, but there was also, I had to do some stuff vocally. And it just gave me a chance to a breathing space to just focus totally on acting. And that allowing me to do that and then get other things going with acting has kind of started me to be able to just live as an actor, which I've been able to do ever since,
In some ways, the Slim Jim guy changed Dmitry's life. And not only that, Tim Rolt was telling me what fond memories he has of this project, and that it was honestly one of the best commercial projects that he's ever worked on in his career. When I first started researching this topic for this video, I honestly had no idea what to expect, but I've been blown away and pleasantly surprised not only by how friendly and helpful all the people involved were, but also by what a unique project this really was. Tim was given a lot of creative freedom to execute something really offbeat and weird and bizarre in an industry where that's usually not allowed. I love hearing about how all the creatives that were involved in this project remember it as being such a wonderful experience. Well, there you have it. This brings the legend of Slim Jim to a close. If you think I put in enough work to deserve a like, please smash that like button. And if you like content like this and you'd like to see more in the future, please subscribe, and not only that, hit that bell. And not just on my channel, but on all of your favorite YouTube channels. When you hit that bell, you're actually notified when people upload new content. Wow, imagine that. It's like how the subscribe button is supposed to work. Anyway, hope y'all are having a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.